There we go. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us with our new webinar regarding our MIMO face terminals and our barriers and access control. So thank you very much for everybody for joining us. Today, we're just going to introduce you guys to the product a little bit and just have a little bit of a discussion about where we can use it and what we offer. So I just want to confirm if everybody can hear me. Just want to make sure that all the sound is going through. There we go. Thank you again for everybody for joining. Right, so as we go, a lot of you guys do know our products. Some of you don't know our products when it comes to our facial terminals. Our facial terminals have quite a lot to offer, and we are trying to just get a little bit more of understanding and give you guys a bit more of information regarding that. So starting off first, just want to change the slide here. Come on, there we go. So we're going to be basically discussing that the facial recognition is already here. A lot of people are asking for that. It's not going to go away, it's just going to improve. It's here. What products do we offer? Then we're going to be discussing where we might be using it, and then also in the real world, and then we're going to go through our speed gates and our terminals. Right. So first of all, those days of using keys and locks and stuff like that, I think a lot of you would know that it's no longer a viable way of doing things. So it makes it a little bit difficult, time consuming, all those type of things, inconvenience. Keys needs to be cut to unlock locks. And nowadays we've got mag locks and striker locks and you know, different ways of opening doors, so it makes life a lot easier. Cards and passwords. Cards can be passed on to someone else. Pins you know, can be shared with other people, so this makes it a bit difficult, especially when it comes to businesses for entries and exits. So and maybe, you know, controlling their time schedules. Then fingerprints. It's difficult with fingerprints nowadays as well because of COVID. We all know this. It's not always nice to put your finger somewhere, even if there is sanitizer. It's still a little bit tricky, and I think it gives you the option at least not to use your finger. And if you've got gloves on, if you're working at a construction site and you're trying to enter the building or exit the building, now you have to take off your gloves and stuff like that. So this is ideal. So this is where facial recognition comes in with our deep learning algorithm. This takes a 3D image of your face and it puts it onto the terminal, which allows basically for the terminal to see your face and recognize it's you. And we'll be discussing that a little bit further. So as we discussed just now, you know, time-wise and safety-wise, not as safety, but, you know, health-wise safety. So this is definitely something to look at. So with our deep learning algorithm itself, it was developed by our company and imported into multiple different platforms of our devices. So not just that, these terminals can be used in low light and dark areas. So that speeds up the process as well, so you don't battle to get into the premises if it's, you know, late at night or something, or in a warehouse situation. Also, it's got anti-spoofing, so that what that means is you can't take a photo of someone's face and put it in front of the terminal and it will unlock. That won't happen because of the dual lens cameras that's on our models. And this can also be accessed remotely from different areas. So if you have a company and they have different branches over South Africa or international, this can be all linked to a server, but we'll discuss that further on as well. So we're going to be discussing our different terminals. So first of all, we have our barrier terminals itself. So some of them come with brackets, different mounting brackets itself, and some of them come with different ways of picking up faces. So from 50,000 faces, and there's like I mentioned, different ways of integrating this into your system. Then from the project side, we have our Ultra series, our Pro series, and then for our normal entry, smaller business, smaller applications, we've got our Value series itself, and that's got obviously a lot less spaces, but it still does the same capability, especially for time and attendance. So over here, we've got our Ultra series. As I mentioned earlier, you have the cameras in the front, so you have different models that you can choose from the ones that's got the fingerprints. Some companies still require that, they still need that. Other companies don't need it. And also card reading that's on the terminal itself. You have a 5 megapixel for a single lens for the normal viewing of it. And then you have the 2 megapixel wide lens. It's a dual lens itself to be able to pick up that 3D image of your face. There is multiple different ways that this can be connected, either through your Wi-Fi or RJ45, or it can be through WIGN or USB. So on most of the models, you have a little space for USB, so this can be uploaded or downloaded, whatever information that you need, or it can be gone through the network or through a browser, and there's multiple different options. These products are rated at IP65, but obviously recommended put a rain shield on because, you know, we do have quite heavy rains in our country. So yeah, right. So this is our Pro series, also very similar. There you can see on the top right-hand side, there's a little stand there that the item, the facial terminal can stand on. So that little stand is especially designed for that weight itself. And then you got the rain shield as well, or the, you know, the little bit of sunlight shield. And then underneath it, you can clip on a fingerprint reader. So there's different models. Also, that the one model has built-in Wi-Fi, so it can be connected remotely. So all you need to do is just supply the power. These are 7-inch touchscreens displays, and all of our facial terminals are touchscreen, so that makes life a lot easier, especially for the guys programming. Like I mentioned, the IP65 rated. So our models have different functions, from facial to cards to fingerprints, and there are different options of how many and the quantity of it. So it depends on your application, the company that you might supply this to, or the firm that might need it. It depends on how many employees and how many people that go in and out that you might need. So all these products can be integrated with the Connect itself, so the notifications can come through. It can be configured through a web browser, so it makes it a lot easier, especially with the speed of the device to pick up the user from its face to the terminal to the trigger itself. So yeah, we've got our Value series. This is the smaller little model. A lot of you are familiar with this because it's been around quite a bit. So you have two different options here, from fingerprint to card. So this gives you a lot more control over your budget size. So it has all the functionality. Some of them's got time and attendance. Some of them have the integrated intercom module itself, so it can be used as well. So it depends on your application. It depends on where you would like to use it. This is a 4.3-inch touchscreen, and it's very durable as well. Here we have our same model, just a little bit smaller, and this model itself also has that deep learning algorithm built into it. So for time and attendance, this is very nice and easy to use. As you can see, as this option here at the bottom. So what that basically means is you have basically 6 options. So you can have like clock in, clock out. You can have tea time in or out, and then you have lunchtime in and out. So if you want to keep control over your staff and make sure what they are doing, where they are going in and out of the building, you can use it as a standalone system itself, or you can use it on 2 systems and take it to an access control. It depends on what you would like to do with it. Then we have our new smaller little models that can be used indoors. So that can be used on a desk itself. So that's nice for reception areas, as well as maybe for storeroom area. This is ideal. So this can be mounted by the door of the storeroom, with obviously a striker lock or a door lock or mag lock, whatever the case is. And this allows you to add a different amount of faces, fingerprints. So you have those options to be able to trigger that. So this also can be linked through the network or via USB as an upload, or download. So you can be able to see what's happening regarding your storeroom, who goes in, who goes out. And it's very nice. It's a small little unit that can fit on a desk, like I mentioned, as well for reception. So if you would like to check in who the people are and keep a record of that. So that makes life a little bit easier. So yeah, it's just a little bit of a graph of just showing the different models and what your options are. So as I mentioned earlier, so different faces and different quantities. So you have from 1,500 faces all the way to 3,000 faces. So it depends on where your application is and what you would like to use. So you have different options there. Then some of the models can use cards, other models can't use cards, like these two, as you can see. The one can use a card that you can just, tap your card that shows the information, and then it unlocks the door or it shows your time and attendance. And we have different options where this can be used. So obviously, like I mentioned, indoors, and some of them are IP65 rated, but recommending also to put a rain shield on it, and obviously over a roofing area. So it's not like waterproof, but I'm sure you guys understand. Right, and then some of the models can connect to HIK-Connect app itself, so that gives you that push notification on the mobile phone. So as soon as maybe a VIP or somebody else that's, if you want to know when your staff arrive at the premises, it will send you that notification. So it depends on how it gets set up. So that gives you that option itself. The first model here is not vegan enabled. The other ones are supported with vegan, so it can be pulled into a third party. Right, so basically, as we discussed earlier, so to speed up, to view it through the darker area, so this makes it a lot easier. Then we have also your security level. Like I mentioned earlier, you have the dual lens camera to be able to do that anti-spoofing for you, so to make sure that you have a safer environment. So not just anybody can enter. So with a normal tag itself, you can take the tag and maybe give it to someone else, and they can, say, listen, I'm late for work, just take my tag and tag it. So this allows you to be able to pick up that 3D face of yours, and you cannot run away from it. Right. So easy to use, easy to connect itself, remote access to it. You can also get access through the browser for it. And then obviously you can also have it connected to your intercom system, and you can have it remotely accessed towards via the normal network. So you can pull it into the cloud or into a server or into HIK Central, as example, remotely. Here's a little clips to show you the access, how quick it is. And then on the right hand side, authenticated. They get authenticated. This is the speed itself, 0.2 seconds. So that speeds up a lot of the time when you clock in and clock out. So I just want to re-show this lady here is blocking her face, and check how quickly it is. And there we go, immediately, and it starts triggering. And over here, it's in a dark environment. So still, even in a dark environment, it can still, through the IR, pick up the face. Right. So the next discussion is, like I mentioned earlier, the two lenses in the front. The one's got the IR built into it, and the other side is just for that facial side. So it uses both that technology to be able to enable it and pick up that 3D face of the person. Here we have somebody that's taking a photo and trying to unlock the door, and it failed. It denies the person to go through. So just to give you that little high security level little video, let's just play it again. So that is what we call that anti-spoofing, able to make sure that your area or your environment or your entry point is secure. So remote access towards this can be, like I mentioned, through USB. So there's a little bit of a USB plug on the side that you can either download the report or upload information if you would like to add new faces. It can be done through IVMS or through the browser and to HIK-Central itself. So this makes life a lot easier, especially for the installing side of things. Then we've got also the HIK Connect, where you can pull the report. Sorry. So where that comes in very handy, especially if you're a manager and you would like to pull a report, instead of logging in and going through that whole process, you can just use your phone and immediately print it from there, or pull down the log and print it from your mobile phone. So nowadays, a lot of the guys in the offices have the printer connected through the Wi-Fi to their mobile device, to mobile phone, and then it's easier just to print it that way and you're done and dusted. So less hassle, less time, makes life a lot easier. And as we mentioned before, this can be connected through the switch to a master station, an indoor station, or to your NVR to record it through the network. So that gives you that capability also if your security company or your security control room at your premises or at the company needs to go back and see what's happening towards this. This gives you that option to be able to connect it to your NVR or to a door station, and this makes life just a lot easier. It can also be used through the IS UP 5.0. So this can be uploaded through the network itself and sent through multiple different ways towards the internet and towards a server or the client or the HIK-Central professional. This makes life a lot easier. So if you have a business that has quite a few branches and they want to keep control over the time and attendance, this makes life a hell of a lot easier. Right. So where would we be able to use this? Where's the solutions? Well, this can be used in multiple different places, from offices, stores, schools, and factories. So you can just see the multiple applications where this can be used. So this makes life a lot easier. Not just that, also these terminals can be used for emergency exits. You can put buttons on them for emergency exit. You can also have it to our IVMS for 200 AC. So as a standalone one section for access control to make life a lot easier. You can put the secure module as well on it. This module itself will be installed on the inside of the building or the inside of the premises to secure it. So what that basically means is if you're using RS or vegan or whatever the case is, this allows not for anybody just to go and MacGyver things and touch the wires, or like James Bond, you know, open up the wires and touch and trigger the door and it goes open. This allows a secure communication between it, and it's a secure way of doing your access itself to your premises. So this can be linked to, like I mentioned, door locks, striker locks, exit buttons, card readers, whichever way that you would like to do. And Hikvision offers all these little side accessories as well. So keep that in mind. So biometrics, this can be integrated with your biometrics and taken directly to HIK-Central or access control, like we mentioned, and via through the LAN itself. So this can be interlinked with one another. So this makes life a lot easier as access control. Then we've got here where you can have it connected to multiple different stations. So from an intercom station to a master station and the app. So once it picks up the person's face, the terminal will be able to identify who the person is if the person has been uploaded, sent through to the intercom and the master station and the app itself. So everyone can get that notification, so you can have more control over the security itself. Right. Also, the time and attendance can be connected to the company software, whoever does the payroll or whoever does the Sage Pastel, whatever the case is. So this makes life a little bit easier for them. So this, they can pull the report or integrate it into the third party. That saves a lot more money and a lot more time, and is a lot more easier. So once you have your terminal set up, you can take your staff and import all their faces with all their details onto the terminals or onto your access control. And this allows you to have control over that and pull it straight into the payroll or Sage itself. So different ways of monitoring through our software family and to have the management regarding that, as we mentioned earlier. So you have your different ways of doing it, from IVMS, AC to HIK Connect and HIK Professional. So these are the different ways that we can do it, even through our HCE. So that's more for your higher end, your bigger projects, your bigger companies, more international sites. So this allows you to have more control over that. And again, it can be integrated with third parties, so like global ACS. So that makes life a lot easier. So this can definitely be integrated with multiple different platforms, as you can see here, from time and attendance to access control and even visiting management. So this allows you to maybe send your QR codes to your visitors itself, saying, listen, if you are coming to visit me at the gate, like a complex or for maybe a big business venue, so they can just use their QR code, show it towards the terminal. The QR code will scan through the terminal and it will say, welcome, whoever that person is, or welcome to the VIP person. So here's a case study that we did in Johannesburg at AFRAID. So they've got more than 1,000 employees, so this makes it a lot easier. So once the staff arrive, they can either use their finger or their face, and this will be able to pick them up. So this will get integrated directly into their payroll system, which makes their management of that way easier, much better. Here's another case study for the intercom side of things in Cape Town at Estate. So yeah, they've got one master and 72 indoor stations itself, so which is all linked to one another. And also, again, they can pull reports if they need be. So this makes life a lot easier. So this is more than possible and has been done as well. Right, on our speed gates and our terminals, so from our swing gates to our flip barriers to our tripod barriers, our turnstiles, and to our height turnstiles. So this is multiple different options and where you would be able to use this. Right, so as we discussed, also for fingerprint, facial, card readers, QR codes, so these terminals can be mounted on the stations itself, or the terminals, or the turnstiles. So to make life a lot easier, it's safer, more secure, and when there's no power or no electricity, you can have that also to unlock it or open up for emergency purposes as well. Not just that, the software can be integrated as well, and then you can put it also into a third party through Vegan. Makes it a lot easier, and if you have existing system already there. Right, on our terminals itself, as you can see here, you can use an option for on the terminal. You can have your card system, which is your access cards that can be programmed. You just strike it on the top of it, and then the barrier will open if you've been assigned or been added to the system or to the software. Once you trigger that, it will open up. You can use fingerprint itself, and you can use the face terminal or the card reader itself, the QR reader. So this gives you 4 different ways to be able to access that area. Not just that, it's got inside itself, some of the models got brushes, others don't have brushes. So this makes life a lot easier for the servicing side of things. So yeah, we have multiple different ways. So we have different barriers from our tripods to our drop-down series. So makes it easier. Terminals can be mounted on the top of the devices, so there's different brackets for different applications. We can also have them at different degree angles, so depends on where the terminals have been situated, and then you can have it maybe if there is, how can I put it, shorter people or taller people. You can have it at different degree angles, so obviously this is applied at that situation. And I think you have to obviously figure that one out. Depends on how many people and how their heights are different. Then this makes it a lot easier also to be able to mount different options. So if you would like to use card, if you're not too worried about the security, more about the convenience, just to see who goes through the barriers and who don't, or fingerprints itself. Then we have, as we discussed, our B series, our Y series. Those are the ones that flip down. And then you have your tripods, like the normal old way of doing things. And then you have your turnstiles itself for your bigger events, like maybe sport grounds or maybe bigger factories where you want more control over things. So this makes it a lot easier. So on our barriers itself, we have different IR light detectors. So these sensors itself will pick up when a person walks through it. It will also pick up when a person tries and climbs over it without using his authentication method. So not just that, we have different levels in heights, we also have different ways of how it opens and closes, and this can be used indoors or outdoors. It depends on where you would like to use the application for. So as I discussed earlier, we have brushless motors as well now, so that allows less services on these products. Not just that, you have your lasers, that's your lasers, the IR lights itself, to be able to detect the intruding person to go through it, and once they've exited, so it will keep that information as well. We have different sizes in width itself, and not just in the width, also in the height. So yeah, you can see applications, so it can be a little bit taller, so that in order for, if you are worried about somebody maybe throwing something over it or whatever the case might be. Here are our new ultra slim versions. So these are smart swing barriers. So it's got different applications for different areas, up to 24 pairs of IRs itself that shoots through it, to be able to help you to keep control over what's happening towards it. You have also a high strength tempered glass on these models, and also it can be integrated into the third party like we mentioned earlier. These are our B series, so this gives you different options, from the tempered glass like we mentioned, to your steel little frame, to your drop downs. So these are higher ultra models, so you've got that height involved as well. And like I mentioned earlier, this model here has the brush itself, and the rest of them have the brushless models, motors that's on it. So your servicing on it is a lot longer, like you can see, 3,000 times and 3 million times and 6 million times. So this depends on what your application is. Some of them have stainless steel, and some of them don't have stainless steel like this model itself, and some of them have tempered glass. So it depends on your application, it depends on where you would like to use it. Also on the IR light beams itself that shoots through, to be able to detect if people go in and out, you have different options here. And all of these models have built-in access control as well. These are the Y flip down models itself. So they can handle between 20 to 60 persons or people per second. So you can obviously think that the amount of people that go through these terminals in and out the whole time. So that gives you a lot more control, and it speeds up the whole process, so they don't have to wait at the terminal itself. You can also use a remote key fob. So for security companies itself, or maybe a security guard there, and maybe somebody's, if you don't use a face terminal and you're using the tag, and maybe they've got their tag, but they know who they are, or maybe the tag doesn't want to work for whatever reason, or they're new. This allows the security person to use a key fob to be able to just grant them access and let them go through. It will still be on your report showing exactly who that is, and like we mentioned, can be added into the third party. These are our Y models, so from our value to our Pro series, and these are different options from the brush to the brushless motors. So there again, you can see the servicing side of things. So The brushless motors obviously gives you that indication that you don't have to service it that often, so it makes life a lot easier. Not just that, you've got also your 6-pair or your 12 pairs of the lights to be able to secure the barrier itself. These can be used indoor and outdoor, so it depends on, and both these models got built-in access control. Right, then we've got our tripod. Those are the ones that you have to walk towards the tripod. It will give you that access, and once you walk through it, it will grant you that access once you provide the necessary way of either using your tag or face. So as you can see on the terminal, it's got the little tag model built onto it itself. This allows 35 people per minute to be able to go through. And like we mentioned, built-in access control, and also with a key fob, and can be added to the third party. Right, so these are different models just to show you again. And like this model here does not have the built-in access control. These two models are only designed for indoor. The other model is obviously designed for indoor and outdoor, so it depends on your application. Then we've got our H series, which is our Value and Pro, which has got the height and the more secure model. If any of you have been at our experience center at Hikvision South Africa in Johannesburg, you'll see that we have one in our showroom that you can also have a look. And we also have a terminal that you can also go through that has already been connected up with a face terminal on it as well. So these models do not have built-in access control. So you'll see on the little picture here, you have little terminals itself. So obviously those facial terminals can be used or can be added to access control. Then the last thing is we've got a little tool for those guys that are doing their planning towards this. So it gives you that little capability of looking at the design point of view as a quotation site. So if you have a client and they want to know, as an example, they want swing barrier, then you can basically go and enter the distance. So this will calculate everything for you. So all you need to do is put in your width measurement, and it will automatically calculate from the wall to your spacing to everything else for you. So this makes life a lot easier, especially when it comes to that kind of thing. So if you are looking for the tool, you can go to any of our Hikvision Global website, go under support, tools, and high tools. It will be there. There's also a little how can I say it, how-to guide as well to help you to use this tool to your full advantage, especially from a sales point of view. Once you're done, you can either print it or export this picture, and you can use that in your presentation towards your client. And I think that's a pretty nice little tool to have. All right. So that is basically it. I would like to thank everybody for joining us. Thank you for your time. If there's any questions or anything that you would like to know further, please stay after the presentation, and then we can take it from there. I would like to thank everybody for joining us. Please stay tuned for next week. We've got more videos to come and more things to be able to that we would like to share with you guys. Also in future, we are going to share a lot of videos and more information how to integrate our products with one another. So we'll have it where we'll show you step by step as well. And then next week on Thursday, we'll have our technical things where we'll show you guys a little bit more of the technical side for the terminals and the rest of our products as well on this presentation. So thank you very much, and stay tuned for the guys who would like to ask questions, and enjoy everything else. Right, keep well.